Quick commerce is, of course, very successful in metro cities and probably in tier 1 also. Pin
India has
codes.
30,000 pin codes. We may only be servicing, say, 1,500 pin codes. Quick commerce average order value is much more than food commerce. Food commerce average order value is 300, 350. Quick commerce has already reached 600, 650.
Union Commerce Minister Mr. Piyush Goyal commenting on the logistics sector and quick commerce not being innovative. I don't know, it has been misconstrued, of course, I feel.
Long story short, he called it a boring business, right?
Ha.
A boring and not growth impacting business. Medicines being delivered in 10 minutes also solves for lifestyles. It's actually solving for real life problems. The ability to evolve fast. That's the strongest piece of the business.
What is that one or two things that you feel are highly misunderstood in this quick commerce industry?
As soon as speed is enabled, RTO rates change the next day. Speed comes at a certain premium. So that's something that's often misunderstood.
How do you solve a problem of a D2C brand?
Essentially solving for the four factors I mentioned: RTO rates, abandoned carts, add to cart conversions, and the overall experience of the customer, which is the NPS score. While Grofers did this back maybe 5 years ago, but they didn't succeed because the technology didn't exist.
Has there ever been a moment that you've doubted the viability of Zippee?
You win some, you lose some, that's life.
What advice would you give to young aspiring entrepreneurs who are entering or planning to enter consumer space?
You only raise funds if you have either tech or traction. We first throw people at the problem and then people throw processes at the problem. And people and process put together make a playbook.
One important advice you've received from anyone?
That's when one of our investors actually got on a Google Meet call with me and taught me how to make an MIS.
What's the biggest threat to quick commerce industry today?
I think quick commerce is the biggest threat to every other industry.
Today, we have Madhav Kasturia, the founder of Zippee, a startup that's on a mission to revolutionize same-day delivery logistics for India's booming D2C and e-commerce ecosystem. You won't believe this. Madhav started as one of India's youngest food entrepreneurs at just 18. Then, while bedridden during the COVID lockdown, he dreamt up Zippee. And now, he's got backing from Kunal Shah, Ashnir Grover, Piyush Bansal, and even Haldiram's. In this podcast, you learn how does the quick commerce industry work, what it takes for a consumer brand scaling from 100 to 1000 orders per day, and untapped opportunities for D2C brands beyond tier 1. Let's dive in.
Welcome, Madhav, to Level Up Season 3.
Good to be here.
I think it's wonderful to have you. I can feel the energy and the vibe after having you in this room. Let's get started without wasting any time, right? You're building something very superior, very great in logistics. As you said before we got started, that everyone wants quick 30 minutes, 60 minutes, probably quicker than that, 15 minutes, 10 minutes also, right? And you are aiming to really democratize this, logistics sector by targeting and by getting 1 lakh plus brands who are selling on their websites to do quick deliveries. What is your real action plan there?
So I think we started back in 2022 when speed was not a boardroom conversation for a lot of brands, sellers, marketplaces, e-commerce businesses, right? That's when we actually had to go and sell speed. It solves for RTO rates, it adds conversions on the website, it reduces abandonment. Today, in today's climate, 2024 and 25, when we go and speak to a brand, a marketplace, a business, we don't go and start selling speed. It's a boardroom conversation already. People are just trying to sort of ask questions around how does it work, how
Hmm.
soon can we get started, what's the SKU depth that we can offer.
Hmm.
So I think conversations have changed,
Hmm.
markets have changed, Indian consumers uh, have started demanding more convenience,
Hmm.
and speed has become a priority for a lot of sellers. It's not only the product quality, the packaging quality. Now the speed and the experience piece also hold a lot of value in the entire life cycle of the order journey. So that's where companies like us come in, enable speed. Today, we're enabling speed for about 175 plus brands across 13 cities in different forms and factors, right? Somewhere 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. For certain brands, we do same day deliveries, but we typically don't go beyond same day.
Hmm. Okay. What's your action plan going forward? Like, how do you plan to do this even more efficiently? How do you try to take this more better than what you're already doing or what is already available?
So I think what we're now doing is we're going deeper into our data and understanding that what categories sell in which pin codes, right? So we're doing something very interesting around fashion where we're creating a network of fashion specific dark stores. So the
Mm.
infra built in those dark stores is very, very fashion specific
Okay.
because we feel fashion 30-minute delivery is the next big thing.
Mm.
And there are a bunch of marketplaces and brands on the leaderboard wanting
Wanting
super
that.
fast deliveries on that front,
Hmm.
right? So we're going very, very category specific and deeper in terms of vertical categories, and not just keeping dark stores open for all categories. Of course, we have those OG dark stores in all of these 13 cities open for all categories, but the next cohort of dark stores being built is primarily for the vertical specific categories.
So one would be fashion industry that you're targeting first up.
One would be beauty, personal care. One would
Okay.
be pharma. So a bunch
Okay.
of these ones.
Okay. Got it. That's quite interesting.
Hmm.
As a founder, you're very deeply involved in the logistics sector, logistics of the D2C brands, right? What is that one or two things that you feel are highly misunderstood in this quick commerce industry?
I think in the quick commerce industry, people feel that as soon as speed is enabled, um, RTO rates change the next day, um, and the cost of enabling speed wouldn't increase as compared to their incumbent courier costs, warehousing costs, right? But when you're enabling speed and being placed within the city near your customers, of course, real estate is slightly coming at a premium as compared to warehousing units outside the city, right?
Hmm. Correct.
And efficiency of the delivery folks enabling 30-60 minutes is also slightly lesser than what an Amazon would achieve with higher density and more planning, right? So, uh, speed comes at a certain premium. So that's something that's often misunderstood. But all of these brands and customers eventually get there.
Got it. I think there has been one very big hue and cry about, our commerce minister, Union Commerce Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal, commenting on the logistics sector and quick commerce not being innovative. I don't know, it has been misconstrued, of course, I feel.
Hmm.
What is your take on that?
I think, long story short, he called it a boring business, right?
Ha.
A boring and not growth impacting business. But
Hmm.
I may or may not agree to that. Reason being, uh, medicines being delivered in 10 minutes also solves for lifestyle, right? It's actually solving for real life problems. It's not a bakery business. It's not an ice cream business. While I understand some of these businesses are fairly lifestyle businesses in nature, but all of these businesses are not lifestyle businesses in nature, and a lot of them are actually solving for real life problems.
Okay, got it. Run us through your business model in a very, very layman language. What exactly do you do? How do you solve a problem of a D2C brand? What exactly kind of a service that you provide to that brand?
Brands pre Zippy are typically using a warehousing player and a courier player, right? Post Zippy, they integrate with Zippy, they store their products and inventory at a Zippy dark store in that city or across different cities. All orders that come before a certain threshold, say 3 p.m., they get picked, packed, dispatched, and delivered to the customers by 9:30 p.m. the very same day. Essentially solving for the four factors I mentioned: RTO rates, abandoned carts, add to cart conversions, and the overall experience of the customer, which is the NPS score. Uh, Zippy charges a flat fees, which is weight sensitive and volume sensitive. It is not distance sensitive and it is not GMV sensitive. And so, say X rupees for 500 grams and a certain premium for a kg, and then there's an additional kg cost. Of course, it depends on category as well.
Okay, so you charge to the brand.
Yes, we charge those sellers.
Okay, got it, got it. And then, of course, the sellers are charging to the customers in their
Some of them pass it on, some of
convenience,
them don't pass it on. They bill it in
shipping
their
cost or
P&L.
logistics or something. Okay, got it. Quick commerce is, of course, very successful in metro cities and probably in tier one also. How do you foresee this? Will it happen the same way in tier two, tier three, tier four towns also, or it will take some time for that penetration?
It won't take time. Reason in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 cities, real estate is not the way it is in the top 10 cities. Vertical density doesn't exist. For
Okay.
quick commerce to
Just
succeed,
I would stop you there. What do you mean by vertical
I'll
density
tell
just
you.
for
I'll tell you. Say right here in Bombay, take for example a BKC or a Powai, or in Delhi maybe a Gurgaon or a Noida, right? Uh, one store of Blinkit operates within 1.2 kilometers of radius and has 20 societies and corporate parks around it, each with at least 15 to 25 floors. That's vertical density. Now, when you go into pin codes with row houses, you don't get that vertical density and you can't achieve a 10-15 minutes, since to capture the same demand and density, you need a larger polygon, a longer radius. Yeah. Uh, that's where the models have to evolve. Yeah. And when those models evolve, they'll either be a mix of conservative tats, that means not a 10-minute but a 30-minute delivery in smaller markets, or uh, going omni-channel and actually dipping into inventory of retail stores, of offline pharmacies. So a lot of offline retail will be integrated. While Grofers did this back maybe 5 years ago, but they didn't succeed because the technology didn't exist to integrate inventory at the storefront with the retail POS systems, with the say the WMS and the OMS systems of the quick commerce players, right? But now that technology exists.
so this technology will be simple to integrate in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns?
Yes, it's just an enablement of these offline retailers using a point of sale system where the inventory is available in real time. And even if there's an offline transaction, it gets deducted. And if there's an online transaction, it gets deducted. So it's dipping into the same source.
By when do you foresee this to start getting
I think it's
penetrated
going
in
to
tier
take
2?
2-3 years
More
because
to
there's
3
enough
years.
white space in the top 10, 15 cities,
Hmm.
both in terms of pin codes and in terms of categories,
Okay.
right? So once this gets saturated is when the focus is going to shift beyond the first 10, 15, 20 cities.
Hmm. And I think in that meantime, in these 2 to 3 years, I think a lot of positives out of this model in the metro and tier 1 would come out, which could be implemented in tier 2, tier 3
It'll
going
take a
forward
while
also.
for that because competition is still going up right now. Earlier there were only Zepto, Blinkit, Instamart. Now Minutes is coming into the play. BB now is coming into the play in a big way, right? Apna Mart is growing its store count. So when we see a bunch of these players, there's going to be a 18-month price war, s- a slight bit of consolidation, and then I think tier 2, tier 3 focus will start to begin.
Hmm. Interesting. You mentioned about competition. Uh, who is Zippy's competition, and how do you make sure that you are ahead of the game? When you compare it to them.
So while our customers can answer this in a better way, but I'd assume before Zippy they'd be working with a warehousing player, similar to say Shiprocket Fulfillment, Emiza, Prozo, etc., which they will continue to work with because they still need to fulfill a lot of other demand which they can't fulfill using a Zippy dark store. And they would be working with a courier partners, likes of Delivery, Ecom Express, Express Bees, DTDC, Blue
So
Dart.
there are two players involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Post Zippy, at least for the pin codes we service, it's going to be an integrated solution where they store at a Zippy dark store and we deliver to that city, to
Hmm.
all orders. We deliver all orders of that city.
Hmm.
So that's how customers compare us.
Okay. So with Zippy, if I have to put it in simple words, with Zippy, you get both the things at one place under one
The
roof:
storage and
the
the last
storage
mile.
and the last mile,
Right.
and
And speed.
speed. And pre Zippy, of course, speed was little lower. You can
Just
tell
by
it.
virtue of the network design,
Yeah,
since the inventory is stored outside the city
outside the city. Correct.
and courier takes its own sweet time
Correct.
because it's very, very well optimized to uh, sort of go via sorting centers and DCs, right?
Correct.
But via dark stores, it goes directly to the customers.
Hmm. So they have
There's no
to.
handshake in the middle.
Yeah, and they have to approach two different players for that particular service. Now they have
Yeah.
to just work with Zippy.
No, maybe we are the third one because they have to sort of
For
work with
few of the categories and products, they're still
not
with them.
categories and products or pin codes, right?
Pin
India has
codes.
30,000 pin codes. We may only be servicing, say, 1,500 pin codes, right?
Hmm.
Because that's where the Pareto exists. But this
Hmm.
will continue to have uh, relationships with their incumbent courier players and
Hmm.
warehousing players.
Okay, got it. How do you ensure operational efficiency when you're having 150 plus dark stores spread across 13, 14 cities?
It's a playbook, right? So, we first throw people at the problem, and then people throw processes at the problem, and people and process put together make a playbook. Uh, so while of course we may not be very highly efficient in month one, month two, month three, but people are working on the job, sort of creating efficient workflows to ensure that the same rider increases his capacity from say 8 orders a day to 12 orders a day to 16 orders a day to 20 orders a day for throughput to increase from the same resources. That efficient, it's always a work in progress task, right? We're never there. There's always scope for more.
Correct. So you've set proper SOPs, you've set proper processes that no matter what, whoever is a new rider, they have to come and follow this. There's a proper workflow that is given.
There's an onboarding
Hmm.
process. There's a
Training.
background verification process. There's a training process. Um, Riders taking cash on delivery shipments, coming back with cash every day. There's a COD process. Bank comes and picks up cash from every touch point every day. There's a separate reconciliation team sitting in the headquarters reconciling that cash. There's a separate team paying COD to brands on a certain frequency. So that workflow works in a certain way. While a certain percentage of it may be people dependent, but a certain percentage of it is technology dependent and process dependent also.
This is a very operationally heavy business, right? Manpower heavy, operational heavy. Of course, tech plays its own part to enable or smoothen this operations, but this is very heavy business. Do you come from this background or from like how did you pick this business up?
I come actually from the food delivery background, right? I was running my own cloud kitchens from 2015 up till 2021. So that was also an ops heavy business. Maybe, of course, not at this scale, right? We were running a network of 4 kitchens across Delhi and NCR. Nothing compared to this scale, but yeah. So I think COVID, the first wave was brutal for us, and having built kitchens across these stores, across these pin codes in Delhi and NCR, two of them were shut, and we sort of decided to use them and enable a bunch of other brands. That's how we slowly evolved into dark stores.
This is which year you're talking
This
about?
is
Cloud Kitchen?
21 to 22.
Ah, okay. So that's just like it's not very
Yeah,
old story also.
it's about 3, 4 years ago.
Okay. So you continued with the Cloud Kitchen for 2 to 3 years
No,
odd.
no, from 2015 to
Oh,
2021.
2015 to 21. Okay. For
And
six
then
years.
Zippee
Okay.
was about 22 to 25. It was
Is
about
huh.
20 to 25.
Okay, got it. But you got the idea of this logistics and solving it for delivery and speed.
One door opened the other. So there was no idea. It just like when we were storing these products, we said, okay, let's attach last mile to it. Let's stitch the entire last mile piece and enable the entire post order experience. And then marketplaces came and said, we need dedicated dark stores. So we built a separate vertical only for marketplaces last year. Today we do about 5, 6 marketplaces.
Interesting. Somewhere on the internet, you've mentioned that you've shifted your mindset and your model from growth at all cost to sustainable growth. Why did you say this and like what was your thought process behind it?
No, I think markets were very kind, and we managed to grow 3.5, 4x year on year. But we also, in the process, felt that it's very important for us to ensure that the financial hygiene of the business doesn't get compromised because of the speed of scale.
Hmm.
And that's when we changed a lot of our approaches within the company. Today, we make a daily P&L. So if we do X amount of business yesterday,
Hmm.
the BizFin team reports the P&L today. So
Nice.
we don't wait for a week or a month. We feel we need to fix it day by day.
Hmm. Okay.
Because if you have 5 extra riders at a certain dark store, you're only burning for one day, but you have them for 7 days, you're burning for 7 days, right? So if you can fix it in a day, so that's how we keep fixing it at a business unit level, at a dark store, at a city level. So we have all levels of P&L being made, right?
And then like a company level, a dark store level,
Company level, a city level, a business unit
consolidate.
level, and a dark store level.
Wow. Okay. So you come to know on a daily basis which dark store is doing how much business, which
How
city
our
is doing
CM
how
months,
much
how our
business.
CM months
CM
shifting.
months. Hmm. What has been that shift? Like when you open a new dark store, how does the shift happen from
Goes
CM?
from about -100% to -10% in 2 months, and then goes to about +10% in 3 months, and about by the end of fifth month we're at about +15%. Shared stores go up. Dedicated stores stay around the 12 to 18% bucket. That's how the business reacts in terms of profitability.
Wow, that's interesting. So not a very large break-even point or
Because these
something.
are small stores, right? The payback period is not a metric
Hmm.
for the business.
Correct.
Capex is not a very, very big check size. So it takes about 3, 4, 5 months. And as we enter more cities and more dark stores, we go to the existing cohort of customers and offer them a new city, right? So for us to bring in sellers for the new city is not that big a task.
Hmm.
We
You
just
already
have to
have them. You don't have to acquire them again.
correct, but we have to go to the right cities. You can't go to the wrong cities where they don't have demand.
Hmm. Correct.
So that's what we do.
Okay, got it. As an entrepreneur leading Zippy, which has been your most toughest decision that you've taken?
Toughest decision has been, I mean, we take tough decisions every day, right? While they're not very tough for us because we're in the, eh, we're right in the center of the business. But I think parting ways with some large customers in the last 3 years who may not be good paymasters, who may not fit into our longer term vision. Uh, Demand destruction is the biggest, or I'd say toughest decision when you have to let go, say, one large customer who at that point in time contributed to a double digit
Figure
top
from your
line.
revenue, yeah.
Yeah. So that in that moment may be a tough decision, but of course, retrospectively, that's how the business is, right?
Hmm.
You win some, you lose some, that's life.
Why did you have to let go of that customer?
Maybe terms of trade would have a disconnect. Long term vision, they may be outside the long term vision board of the organization in terms of workflow. Can be multiple reasons.
Got it. Got it. Got it. What advice would you give to young aspiring entrepreneurs who are entering or planning to enter consumer space?
I think the biggest problem I've seen in this space is people take a lot of time in ideating and doing R&D and finding the right vendors and manufacturers. I think um, I've seen people taking 1 or 2 years to just do research and still, you know, don't end up in the market, right? So if you want to start, spend 3 months, get into the market, learn, um, and those learn open 5, 6 channels, see which channel is working for you,
Hmm.
see what your customer cohorts are telling you in terms of data. Are your customers coming back in 30, 60, 90, 120 days or not? Are they willing to pay the price that you're commanding?
Hmm.
So I think a lot of learning in the market than outside the market.
Hmm.
There's only so much you can do with researching and Excel sheets.
Hmm. But I also feel, just a counter to this, there have been many startups that approach us, and they just come with an idea and they want to raise funds,
No, I didn't
and
say raise funds. I said
ha,
enter the market
ha,
means enter the
I
enter
understood,
business.
I understood, but they don't want to enter the business before raising funds. So that's also one problem that is,
My simple formula that you should only raise funds if you have either tech or traction, right? Either you have built a very robust technology
technology.
that
Yes,
becomes the moat to your castle,
correct.
or you have traction that also becomes the moat to your castle,
Hmm.
right? Without tech or traction, it doesn't make sense to enter at least capital market.
Correct. These are the two T's that we also follow at LFS. When we are onboarding any startup, these are the two T's that we follow. Yeah, so I think interesting. As a D2C brand, what kind of logistical challenges you would see them facing if they are moving from, let's say, 100 orders per day to 1,000 orders per day?
Think no challenges, right? This is a solved problem. Uh, e- Post 2010, post the e-commerce boom, all your warehousing companies, courier companies, last mile companies, maybe 2020ish, all your SaaS companies connecting all of these pieces, say the ship rockets, the click posts, a bunch of these ones, right? Uh, they've sort of solved a lot of the post-order experience problems for these D2C companies, right?
Hmm.
But what I've seen in a bunch of these founders and brands is that once they move from 100 to 1,000, 2,000 order volume a day, right? Uh, they still want to operate out of one warehouse. Uh, they don't like giving control and decentralizing the operations to say a north, west, south, and east. It takes them a while to get to that.
That mindset is on
That
them.
mindset is very, very high control. That we have a big warehouse, our office is here,
हमारे बाजू में ही होना चाहिए
सब
सब
कुछ
कुछ हाँ
हाँ हाँ
मैन्युफैक्चरिंग भी इधर रखो वहीं
manufacturing.
पे बैठेंगे वहीं पे वेयरहाउस या वो खोल देंगे ओके
So that's something that I think earlier the better.
because then scale would be difficult na then you would only be able to service that pin codes
No, you'll be
nearby
able to service all the pin codes, but you will not be able to give supreme service in
quick
terms of
quick
delivery
service
tax.
delivery yeah
चले जाएगा तो दिल्ली से यूएस भी शिपमेंट चला जाएगा.
hmm
But it'll take time. No?
it'll take time because you're doing it all on your own
Certain pockets, certain categories are very critical. Like beauty, personal care is very big in northeast, right?
northeast
Yeah.
oh okay
Now, when beauty personal care is very big in northeast, but most of the orders are cash on delivery. आपने 1 अप्रैल को ऑर्डर किया, आप भेज रहे हो 9 अप्रैल को, कैश ऑन डिलीवरी का ऑर्डर था. The person who ordered has already used the cash, so it's an RTO. Hence, 60% RTOs operate in that
and
region.
probably the reason why they had ordered that event or function or that
कुछ भी
day
रीजन था, वो
special day
कैश यूज हो गया है, अब वो
हाँ
RTO है. So you have to either be situated in Calcutta or in Northeast to service that market. But that market is huge for certain categories.
interesting okay I was not aware about this. This is quite interesting.
Northeast
Okay.
market, Northeast is a very big market for beauty brands.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Are you present in Northeast?
No.
Not yet.
Closest point from Northeast today for Zippee
Kolkata.
is Calcutta.
Hmm. Correct.
So we have brands situated in Calcutta, shipping out of Calcutta towards Northeast.
Towards Northeast. Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So Zippy is backed by, of course, a few of the best names, in the investment community. Hasneet Grover, Piyush Goyal, and I think Kunal. Haldirams, if I'm not wrong, is also backing you. Tell me your top three learnings from these folks.
Top three learnings have always been to, of course, a lot of our investors across rounds have been the foundation of a lot of our strong learnings at Zippy. A few of them come with access to brands, access to business. Few of them come with setting the first principles of the business right.
Means?
I'll tell you. So maybe a CFO of a certain organization who's also an investor in Zippy will teach Zippy that when you raise a round or when you manage your books, these are the top three best practices to do that. Yeah. Um, while somebody in the D2C space, um, who's been a D2C founder and now backs a lot of D2C companies and logistics startups, would say that pick the top 10 percentile of brands in terms of order volumes, throughputs, and don't go after the long tail, right? Establish the Pareto within the dark store network.
Hmm.
So all of them come with their own set of learnings.
Hmm. So let's say, from what I could grasp is one is of course connections with brands who
Access to brands,
access to brands who
access
could
to
be
capital,
yeah.
and some mentorship,
Hmm.
which is gold as well.
Something like the CFO example that you gave.
Something like the CFO example and other founders who have built those businesses because they understand that in the 1 to 10, 10 to 100 journey, these are typical broad level challenges that any founder is facing.
Hmm.
It can be a change in leadership. It can be bandwidth problems. It can be bandwidth problems at the time there's an open transaction going on, an open round going on, when you have to manage business as well as look at that piece. So a bunch of these pieces.
One important advice you've received from anyone? Like a proper advice which you would like to share with all of us? From either of these investor folks.
When we raised our first pre-seed round,
When?
2021-22,
Okay.
that's when one of our investors actually got on a Google Meet call with me and taught me how to make an MIS. Till that date, for me, I used to make a very foolish format of an MIS where I used to make one tab, 1 month.
Okay.
Jan, Feb, March, April. And then he told me, no, this is not the way. If you make it in a series, right? Jan has to flow to December on the same tab.
Correct.
Yeah. So while it sounds very obvious to you and me sitting today, right?
Today.
But there's always a first time to learn that piece.
Correct.
So small things you keep learning
Hmm.
alongside the journey.
Hmm. That's very small and basic,
But that's
but
very
probably
important.
very
But
important.
that's very
Yeah,
important.
yeah, of course.
Yeah. I can't have
Hmm.
investors looking at 6 different tabs
Tabs.
and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Of
So
course. It has to
you
be
need
on
to have
one
a flow
tab of
through,
the
right?
Excel sheet.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I had to learn that the first
Hmm.
time. So small things.
Hmm. Okay. From your lens, that because you're managing multiple D2C brands, right? Uh, who are the top three D2C brands right now that you feel? You may choose not to name them if you feel like. And what are they doing right?
A bunch of them, right? So there's a pet care platform called Super Tails. They're doing very well in the pet care space. There is a Dermatech skincare marketplace, new age marketplace. It's called Clinically. They're doing superbly well on the skin side, on the derma side. There's a home decor platform. Again, it's a it's an upcoming marketplace for home decor. They've grown quite well. It's called Wari, Varee.
Okay.
Yeah. So a bunch of these ones.
Okay. What have they done right?
I think, of course, selection on the platform, alongside decentralization of their operations and their dark stores, and the focus on delivery experience. And that's how a bunch of these platforms, they're all of similar scale, but have grown at least 3x in the last, I'd say, 18 to 24 months, maybe more, right? Uh, and uh, Zippy's been fortunate to witness their growth journeys from the very front row.
Okay. Got it. Got it. What's the biggest threat to quick commerce industry today?
I think quick commerce is the biggest threat to every other industry.
Huh.
Uh, a bunch of them, right? Amazon's been very late to this market. Flipkart very evidently has been very late to this market. So they're all catching up again. It's a boardroom conversation for them, right? Because month on month, the traffic and transactions being diverted to these new age platforms, quick commerce platforms, is marginally increasing. But when you look at that metric at an annual level, you see the shift, and that's a pinch.
I think Dipinder Goyal has mentioned that now Blinkit is growing probably much more faster than what Zomato is. I think Zomato is stagnated and their major growth and
Yeah,
major
because
revenue
Blinkit
started
started
coming.
growing when Zomato was already in 500 cities, no?
Ha,
So it's going through that journey.
ha. So I think Blinkit is contributing a lot to
More.
the overall
Yeah, their
company.
quick commerce business is doing more
Yeah,
than their food commerce business today.
yeah. Got it. Uh, have they
Also,
been?
their average order values are more. So quick commerce average order value is much more than food commerce. Food commerce average order value is 300, 350. Quick commerce has already reached 600, 650.
Hmm.
AOVs are
And
higher.
multiple times. You'll keep ordering
Transaction
in a
LTV
month.
be higher.
Yeah, in a month you'll keep
LTV be
ordering
higher.
two, three times
There'll be more
groceries.
quick commerce orders ringing your bell than food commerce orders.
Correct, correct. That's true. I think, and that's working for all of these players.
A lot of these places.
Hmm. Got it.
And the most interesting part is they're also integrating food into their quick commerce.
Hmm.
Bistro is doing very well.
Which one?
Bistro by Blinkit.
Ah, yeah, Bistro by Blinkit.
Zepto
Yes,
Cafe is doing very good. Of
very good.
course,
Yes.
I'm not sure how Snack is doing, but I'm sure they'll also be growing well. Yeah. So there's nice 10-minute food integrations on the platform. They've been
The
uh,
snack foods
the
and stuff
snack
like yeah,
food and either proper meals also coming.
proper meals
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
Yes.
And very good supreme quality. It's not that it's priced at say a 60 or a 70, so it's going to be very sub average quality. It's supreme quality.
Hmm. True. Has there ever been a moment that you've doubted the viability of Zippy?
Because if we doubt the viability of Zippy because of a certain outcome in a certain month, that is very transient, right? It doesn't change. Um, it doesn't change the longer term outcomes, right? So you may not have done well in a certain month, or with a certain customer, or with a certain team, or with a certain project. But I don't think that has a very big impact in the overall journey, and we're very fast to evolve. So as we speak, we've rolled out 2-hour delivery across three different cities: Delhi, Bombay, and Bangalore. And if you asked us a year ago, we would have said no, 2-hour delivery is not going to exist. Same day delivery is enough of delight. But today we're like, same day delivery is going to evolve into 2-hour delivery. So shut down same day delivery, activate 2-hour delivery. So in the next 6 months, teams have a target to shut down same day delivery, move everything to 2-hour delivery. Uh, so we evolve, and we feel that's the strongest piece of the business: the ability to evolve fast.
Hmm. Can you charge higher for the 2-hour delivery from your brand?
Not necessarily, right? In certain cases, you may end up charging lower also because the cost is also lower. Well, you may have decentralized storage across different points in the city, but the radius of delivery goes down, efficiency of the rider goes up because he only has to travel 10, 12 kilometers as against 25, 30 kilometers. And it's a game of putting the right demand in the right pin code, or the right supply in the right pin code for the demand to crack.
Got it. Got it. If Zippy were to pivot today from logistics for quick commerce and brands, D2C brands, what alternative business model or where would you pivot?
That's very hard to predict, right? Markets teach us. Right? If you asked me a year ago, what would Zippy be doing in 2025? I'd say same day delivery, right? But what it's actually doing in 2025 is very different from same day delivery. Same day delivery is only about 30-40% of the business. अब आप मुझे आज पूछो 26 में क्या होगा? Like only time and markets will tell.
Hmm.
But the
But where
ability
do you
to
foresee? Like, how do you foresee? मतलब अभी दो
yeah,
2-hour
marketplaces
delivery.
are going to get to 30-60 minutes. All marketplaces, they'll have to get to, right? If they need to stay in the game, right? Brands will get to sub same day delivery 4 to 6 hours. Uh, like quick commerce, 6 platforms. There'll be 6 pharma platforms enabling 10 to 30 minutes, and there'll be 6 fashion platforms enabling 10 to 30 minutes. There'll be 3, 4 vertical categories also enabling super fast. Hmm.
And you will be at the center of this all
I
happening
mean,
because you
we
will
want
have
to
to.
be at the center of it.
You will have to
I
also,
can't
and
say
you
we will
will
be at
be.
the center of it. We want to be at the center of it.
And I'm sure you will be
We want to
because
be
I
at the
think,
center of a part of it.
because there's a lot of things that will be dependent on you. You will have to be at the center of the thing.
Correct.
Yes. Uh, I'm sure you would be having some international expansion plans. If not now,
All right,
maybe
now
in the
India is big enough for us to
near
play the
future
game
as
at
well.
least in the next 3, 4 years.
Yes. But if you were to target any international country, which would you target first? And
I think a lot of
when
Southeast Asian
does
markets, GCC, Dubai, I think these are very good markets in terms of consumption. If you look at the larger platforms, right, Amazon, etc., they may have lost the plot in India currently, at least from a timing perspective, but they don't want to lose the plot in a lot of upcoming Southeast Asian markets, right? So that's where quick commerce is now going to be uh, growing and following the Indian playbook.
is it already there in GCC, Middle East or
काफी
something?
ज्यादा
And
है. अब जैसे
quick
आप दुबई में
commerce?
देखो, नून है, तालाबात है, करीम है.
Acha, Talabat and Kareem are doing quick commerce full.
uh, in
I
certain forms and factors, 10, 30, 60, everybody started, right?
okay.
Whether it's a pickup and drop from the nearest retailer or it's inventorized quick commerce,
Hmm.
in some form and factor, everybody's gotten into 60-ish minutes.
Hmm. Okay.
And those
Interesting.
markets are also more conducive, both in terms of average speed on the road, uh, real estate, manpower. So markets are conducive. Much better than Western markets, where manpower is again very expensive.
Nah. Here you will at least get cheap labor.
Uh, and a lot of this business depends on labor arbitrage also.
Yeah, I think majority of would be depending on this.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and real estate also.
Correct. For the dark stores and everything.
Underutilized, distressed real estate
Hmm.
at cheap rentals,
Hmm. How much occupancy of the inventory is there?
occupancy of those dark stores and big boxes.
Hmm. Got it. Got it. Got it. All right. So now we'll play a. This is the last segment, and we'll play a quick. I would not say a game, but it is kind of a quick understanding of the industry from you, right? So my first question is: do you think voice commerce will overtake traditional web-based shopping in the next 5 years?
I don't think so. I think a big way. Uh, I think in-app experience has evolved in the last 5 to 10 years in India, and Indian in-app experience is, I'd say, the top 3, 4 in the world. Um, if you look at a lot of these apps in different countries, and if you compare our Indian apps, our user journeys are fairly are fairly more convenient than the other user journeys, and they've been like properly thought through.
Okay. But you don't think people will evolve to voice commerce or something? I mean, even if today
I
you
think
see there are.
convenience के against जाता है ना voice commerce. Like if you and me are sitting in a say a meeting right now and have to place a quick order while doing something, right? It's just more convenient. We went away from picking up phone calls and sort of having disconnected order flows by just clicking a button, right? We're not going to go back there, even if we're not speaking to someone and speaking to a phone, right? So I think we're going to go away from that.
Okay, fair enough.
That's
Uh,
where we came from.
huh.
Picking up the phone, placing a
And
food
talking to
order.
them.
I remember the times, calling up Domino's, placing an order, telling him I have a coupon sit with me.
Ah,
So those times belong to the history now.
correct. Next question. Will drone deliveries become mainstream by 2030?
Yeah, 30 तक बहुत मुश्किल है. बहुत regulatory involvement है. If you look at the top 10 cities which carry consumption, उसमें 30-40% area तो आप red zones and black zones है, you can't even fly those drones, no?
यूज ही नहीं कर सकते.
नहीं कर सकते. तो adoption will be very limited. Use cases बहुत है, but adoption limited हो.
Maybe in a different segment, like farmers or something. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, but
पर वो तो of course
in my lens from the
it's
commerce that I deal with, उस commerce
नहीं
में नहीं आया.
नहीं है. बहुत difficult है.
हाँ.
Got it.
And labor arbitrage रहेगा ना. मतलब minimum wage कितना बढ़ता है साल ऑन साल? 1,500 रुपये बढ़ता
बस
है.
उतना ही है.
तो फिर आप 2030 की बात कर रहे हो, 5 साल दूर है. 5,000 बढ़ जाएगा. आज अनस्किल्ड लेबर किसी अच्छे टॉप 5 सिटीज में 16-17 हज़ार होगी, 21,000 हो जाएगी. डजंट चेंज द इकोनॉमिक्स ऑफ द बिजनेस इन अ बिग वे.
Correct. Got it. Do you think traditional marketplaces like Amazon will lose market share to D2C brands?
They have already done to not only D2C brands but also quick commerce players.
Hmm.
They've already lost share. देखो 10 साल पहले नहीं था ना ये सब. 10 साल पहले D2C ब्रांड्स के अपनी वेबसाइट पे दिन के 5-5 हज़ार ऑर्डर नहीं आ रहे थे ना. While consumption may have increased, but some part and portion of that consumption has gotten diverted to quick commerce players, D2C brands, bunch of these ones.
And I think you get almost everything on quick commerce now that you get on Amazon
नहीं
or
मिलता
Flipkart.
है. हाँ,
Not.
Amazon पे मिलता है.
हाँ.
Quick commerce पे सब कुछ नहीं मिलता है.
हाँ.
Selection नहीं मिलती. So if you like a certain brand, say if I like this juice brand, right? Quick commerce may only store 2 SKUs of this brand. What's this brand called? It's called No Filter, right? So quick commerce may only keep 2 SKUs of this, but the website may keep 8 SKUs. So if I like the first bottle of orange juice, the next
फिर
time I
मुझे
go on the
website
website
जाके.
and I see all the assortment and I place a larger order for 6 bottles and stock it with me.
Correct.
So that's how D2C grows.
Got it. Why does quick commerce not keep all SKUs? Or
Space,
eventually
na?
they would start
Shelf
keeping?
space is limited, no?
You'll have to pay then more.
Digital space is unlimited there. कितना भी SKU list कर लो platform पे, but shelf तो उतना ही है ना.
जो dark store में है.
Dark store में shelf तो उतना ही है ना.
बराबर. Got it. Do you think dark stores will evolve into fully automated micro fulfillment centers?
Labor arbitrage. आपकी लेबर इतनी सस्ती है, कैपेक्स वर्सेस ओपेक्स का कॉस्ट है ना.
उसमें पूरा कैपेक्स ही बढ़ जाएगा.
कैपेक्स वर्सेस ओपेक्स का कॉस्ट है ना. तो कैपेक्स का ईएमआई दे दो चाहे ओपेक्स दे दो, बात तो एक ही है.
और डार्क स्टोर में इतना बड़ा कैपेक्स ही नहीं है.
It will only get till there when picker packers start costing 1 lakh rupees a month or 80,000 a month. Picker packer 15-18 हज़ार रुपये महीना है. आप कितना भी कैपेक्स लगा लो, it will not make sense. That's why people are not incentivized to go into that automation. There also came in kitchen automation, but वो शेफ कुक है ही 20-25 हज़ार का, तो किचन को ऑटोमेट करके क्या करोगे?
यहाँ पे आपका ज़्यादा पैसा बच जाता है, मतलब खर्चे ज़्यादा कम ही है.
You can ramp up and ramp down OPEX, but CAPEX once deployed, what can you ramp up and ramp down?
Nothing.
It's
It is
only going
gone.
to depreciate in your
Yeah.
books.
Correct. And the money is gone.
It's
It's
a sunk
deployed.
cost, right?
Sunk cost. Correct. Interesting. I think, got to know a lot about D2C, about logistics, about operations from this conversation. Thanks a lot, Madhav, for coming
Pleasure to
on
be
this
here.
show. I think very interesting conversation, hardcore logistics business model पे हमने बात की है,
Hmm.
and what could happen in the future, or what is already happening,
And what can't
right?
happen.
Or what can't happen also, right? In quick commerce and e-commerce, etc.
Right.
Wonderful conversation. Thanks a lot,
Lovely.
Madhav, for
Thanks.
coming on this
Thanks for
show.
having
I
me.
think it was wonderful.
Perfect.
Yes.